You know what question I hear all the time? How do I find more hours in the day? Well, unless you've got a time machine hidden somewhere, we're all stuck with the same 24 hours. But here's the thing. It's not about finding more time. It's about making the most of the time you've got. In this episode, I'm going to give you 11 time management strategies that actually work. And I'm not talking about those fancy theoretical systems that look good on paper but fall apart in real life. These are strategies I use all the time in my business, and they help me get more done while stressing less. And the cool part is you don't have to implement all 11 at the same time. Put them in your toolbox of techniques and pull them out as needed. You're listening to the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Tonia Kendrick, and I'm on a mission to help online business owners like you focus on the right things and take imperfect action. Every week, you'll get my best tips on everything from time management and content creation to planning effectively and managing mindset issues, all in an effort to help you become more productive. So let's jump into this episode. Let's kick this off with my absolute favorite, time blocking. Y'all, this strategy changed my life, and I am not even exaggerating. Time blocking is exactly what it sounds like. You assign specific tasks to specific blocks of time in your day. Think of it like making appointments with yourself. Here's how I do it. Most mornings, I have my first deep work block for core content creation from 9 to 11. During that time, I'm focused solely on creating content, whether it's writing blog posts or recording podcasts like this one. My phone is on Do Not Disturb, my email is closed, and I'm in full creation mode. Then, from 11 to 12, I handle my email and social media engagement. After lunch, I've got a second deep work block for product development. The beauty of time blocking is that it eliminates decision fatigue. You're not constantly asking yourself, what should I work on next? Because you've already decided. I keep my time blocks in a simple spreadsheet. In fact, I have a free template you can grab. I'll drop a link to it in the show notes. If spreadsheets aren't your jam, you can use Google Calendar or whatever works for you. The key is to stick to it. Treat those time blocks like actual appointments. This leads perfectly into our second strategy, weekly planning. This goes hand in hand with time blocking. Every Sunday, sometimes Monday morning, just keeping it real here, I sit down with my coffee and plan out my entire week. Here's exactly what my weekly planning session looks like. First, I look at what didn't get done last week. Sometimes things slip through the cracks, and that's okay. We're human. I ask myself if these tasks still need to be done or if they can be dropped. Then I check my calendar for any appointments or meetings. These are my hard landscape items that everything else needs to work around. Next, I pull up my master task list in Asana and check for any upcoming deadlines. Maybe there's an affiliate launch coming up or a collaboration project that needs to be completed. These become my priority tasks for the week. Then I look at my monthly plan and figure out what steps I can take this week to move those projects forward. The secret sauce? I always estimate how much time each task will take, then add about 10% more time as a buffer. Why? Because things almost always take longer than we think they will. And you know what? I usually have way more on my list than I can actually accomplish in a week. That's when I have to make some tough decisions and really prioritize. Speaking of prioritizing, let's talk about the Eisenhower matrix. Don't let the fancy name intimidate you. It's actually a super practical way to decide what deserves your attention. President Eisenhower came up with this system because he had to make tough decisions about what deserved his attention first. Here's how it works in real life. Let's say you've got a client project due tomorrow. That's important and urgent. A blog post you want to write about your business journey. That's important, but not urgent. A last-minute Zoom call invitation from someone you barely know. Not important, but urgent. And scrolling through Instagram. Let's be honest, that's not important and it's not urgent either. The magic happens when you start spending more time in that important but not urgent zone. That's where real growth happens. It's like preparing your garden for winter. Right now, pruning those perennials and adding mulch might not feel urgent. There aren't any blooming flowers. There's no immediate payoff. But these intentional actions during the dormant season are exactly what creates a vibrant, thriving garden come spring. In business terms, this might be things like creating systems, planning content in advance, or working on your long-term strategy. I talk more about the Eisenhower Matrix in episode 6. I'll be sure to include a link in the show notes. Now let's talk about the Pomodoro technique. This one's perfect if you're like me and you want to make sure you take regular breaks. The traditional method says to work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. But I actually prefer 45-minute work blocks with 15-minute breaks. Why? Because I find it takes a little time to really get into a flow state, and 25 minutes just isn't enough time to make significant progress, at least for me. And during those 15-minute breaks, I'm not just scrolling on my phone. I'll throw in a load of laundry, unload the dishwasher, or even take a quick walk around the block. It's amazing how much more productive you can be when you give your brain these regular breaks. It's also good for your body to get out of your computer chair and away from your screen for a few minutes. Now let's talk about something that might make you groan: time tracking. I know. It sounds about as fun as doing your taxes, but trust me on this. You know how they say you need to track your food to lose weight? The same principle applies to time management. You need to know where your time is actually going before you can make improvements. I used Toggle, and let me tell you, it was eye-opening when I first started. Those quick checks of social media, they were adding up to almost 2 hours a day. And that small task that I thought took 15 minutes, it was actually eating up 45 minutes of my time. Knowledge is power, folks, and knowing where your time is actually going means that you can eliminate the time wasters. Now, for those of you who love simple frameworks, let me introduce you to the 1-3-5 rule. This is one I pull out when I'm feeling overwhelmed with all the things on my plate. Instead of having an endless to-do list, you commit to completing 1 big task, 3 medium tasks, and 5 small tasks each day. Let me give you a real example from yesterday. My big task was creating yesterday's podcast episode. That's something that takes several hours when you count planning, recording, editing, and publishing. My medium tasks included writing an email to my list, finishing a spreadsheet, and scheduling pins for Pinterest. And my small tasks included reviewing recent notes I've captured in Evernote, responding to a student email, completing my morning startup checklist, posting in my accountability group, and engaging in my student community. The beauty of this system is that it ensures you're making progress on big and small tasks alike. For my analog lovers out there, let's talk about bullet journaling. There's something almost meditative about putting pen to paper. And science actually backs this up. Writing by hand activates both hemispheres of your brain, which can help you focus and remember things better. Your bullet journal doesn't need to look like those beautiful spreads that you see on Pinterest. Mine is super basic. I use dots for tasks, circles for events, and dashes for notes. The key is to make it work for you. I'm not a diehard bullet journaler, but I do like using it for my initial brain dumps, then transferring the important stuff into my digital systems. Strategy number 8 comes from the book Getting Things Done. The fundamental principle here is that your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. Think about it. How many times have you been trying to focus on something important, but your brain keeps reminding you about that email you need to send or that bill you need to pay? The solution is to get everything out of your head and into a trusted system. I do this every morning. I spend about 5 to 10 minutes writing down everything that's floating around in my head. Sometimes I spend a few minutes more if I have a lot of ideas I want to capture. For my visual folks out there, let's talk about Kanban. Picture this. You've got a board with 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. Every task starts in the to-do column. Then it moves to progress when you're actually working on it, and finally lands in the done column. Simple, right? You can create Kanban boards in Asana, Trello, or Airtable. Probably ClickUp as well, I can't remember. I like to use them for projects. In fact, I have one for this 30 podcast episodes in 30 days series. It's the only way I can keep up with what episode I'm on. But here's the crucial part. You limit how many things can be in your in progress column. 3 is a good target because trying to juggle more than that becomes too overwhelming. Strategy 10 is sprints. Sprints are part of the Scrum project management method, but you don't have to understand Scrum to use the strategy. I use 2-week sprints for all my major initiatives. Let's say you're creating a new course. Instead of trying to do everything at once, you might spend 1 sprint just on outline and research, the next sprint on creating the slides, and another sprint on recording and editing the videos. The key is focus. During your sprint, you work only on the designated tasks. Everything else goes into the backlog, kind of like a parking lot for future ideas and tasks. It's amazing how much you can accomplish when you're not constantly switching between different aspects of a project. And finally, let's wrap up with the simplest strategy of all, the 2-minute rule. This also comes from Getting Things Done, by the way, and I'll drop a link to the book in the show notes. If something will take less than 2 minutes to complete, just do it right away. Don't waste time writing it down or adding it to your task list. This is perfect for things like responding to quick emails, making brief phone calls, or scheduling appointments. This rule has saved me from the dreaded small tasks pileup that used to plague my evenings and weekends. You know what I mean, all those tiny tasks that seem too small to schedule, but end up creating a mountain of work when ignored. All right, friends, let's wrap this up with some concrete action steps. First, I want you to pick just one of these strategies to try. I know it's tempting to try everything at once, but trust me, that's a recipe for overwhelm, and we don't want that. Start with the one that resonates most with you. Give your chosen strategy a solid 2-week test run. No jumping ship after 2 days because it feels uncomfortable. New habits take time to stick. During these 2 weeks, keep a simple journal of what's working and what isn't. Maybe time blocking works great for you in the morning, but falls apart after lunch. That's valuable information. After your 2-week trial, take some time to reflect. Did this strategy help you get more done? Did it reduce your stress levels? Did it give you more time for what matters most? Use these insights to either refine the strategy or try a different one. Remember, the perfect time management system is the one that works for you. It might take some trial and error to find your groove, but I promise it's worth the effort. Your future self will thank you for putting in the work now. If you found this episode helpful, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Reviews help other business owners find the show. Until next time, keep getting the right stuff done. And before you go, if you like what you hear on the Productive Entrepreneur podcast, then come check out the Organized Business Toolbox. It's my monthly membership for solo entrepreneurs who want to feel in control and take imperfect action to move their businesses forward. When you join, you'll get instant access to the Training and Resource Vault, and a new toolbox or course drops every month. Plus, we have monthly Voxer office hours where you can privately ask me questions and get my direct feedback. If that sounds like something you need, the link is in the show notes, or visit toniakendrick.com and I'll see you on the inside.